Hello. So we're going to be discussing the last part or the fifth part or parameter of an ASL sign. This one I've commented before. I said it was a non-manual sign. It's actually a signal. I'm confusing it sometimes with non-verbal signs, like expressions, things that you do. When you're talking with someone, your face expression should match what you're saying. Typically, in the past, when I've done counseling and I've talked to people with just issues, we're talking about spiritual or relationship issues, I would notice that when they were chatting with me, if their expressions didn't match or line up with what they were saying, I would write that down. I would notate that. And we'd go through the whole gamut of everything that we were talking about. And there was a way for me to kind of question or ask what was going on in their life. At the very end, I would talk about those specific issues that they brought up, that I thought maybe there was something underlying, something behind that. And we would dig into that more, and then we would find out the real issue. So in sign language, in ASL, it's very important that your facial expressions, your body language, matches what you're actually signing. In many ways, it's considered not real sign language if you're not matching the facial expressions with what you're actually signing. It's really important to do that. In the beginning, when you're learning sign ASL, you're not going to get the full facial expressions. It's going to be a little bit robotic at first, and that's fine. That's understandable. You can actually tell who's learning ASL, who's not, and then who's like a natural signer. You can see the facial expressions, everything line up, match up. So anyway, so today, we're going to focus on the NMS, the non-manual signals. So I've got dry erase boards, and hopefully it makes sense. You can kind of see it behind me. If you don't, that's fine. It's really mostly for me so I don't forget, because I tend to forget things. Anyways, so most of the time we think of non-manual signals as body language or facial expressions. And then sometimes how we shift the body, that's important as well, okay? There are two parts to the NMS, if you will. Of course, you have the body and the face. But in the face, you have specifically two things. You have the mouth, what they call onomatopoeic. I can't really say that word. It's basically talking about the mouth. And then you have the facial expressions, which is basically the eyes, the squinting, the eyes widening, things of that nature. And so onomatopoeic, onomatopoeic. I'll put that in the text. You'll see it up here. That's basically dealing with the sound that the word makes. For example, like cuckoo, bang, bip, 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 like the droplets. Like if a droplet is, hitting the sink, if it's dropping, if it's dripping, right? Boop, 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 boop. You do that with your mouth. Even if you're just signing, you have to do that, right? If you're talking about like a motorcycle or an engine revving up, I might say, this morning it was cold, so when I started my motorcycle, it wouldn't start. And then finally, when I gave it a little bit more gas and I put it on choke, and it went, I would show that in my mouth. I would show the revving up of the engine. So the mouth matches kind of what the sound of the word is making, or it's kind of like giving sound to it by looking at your mouth. So like sizzle, stuff like that. There was another one, but no, I think that's it. Yeah, that's it. So that's important. It's important to match. If it makes a sound, try to imitate it, express it. Sometimes it's difficult. I can think of like a jet. If I'm saying, oh, that plane, it's loud. Wow. You know, I probably won't go, you know, it wouldn't make any sense, but I might go like, that plane is, but you would see it. Like you'd see me dealing with the sound like, oh, that's bothering me, right? So you want to see that in your face. You want to see what it's doing to you. So let's talk about NMS with commands, imperatives. So if you have children, you would understand this pretty much. It's going to be an easy understanding. So if you're telling your children what to do, or students not listening, right, to you, so your eyes have to have direct contact. You look at them, right? You're not, most often, if you're telling them what to do, it's because they're not doing it, and they should know to do it. They don't, so you look at them. Obviously, you kind of have a frown on your face. You're not happy, right? It's you know, it is what it is. So you're gonna say, like, if I tell a kid or a student or my child, I said, you sit here, right? So you can see my signs are more sharp. They're sharp signs, right? But you can see my face, I'm kind of tilted down. I'm looking at them. My eyes focused on them. I might frown, but that's basically it, right? Or I'd say maybe to, if I were signing it in more ASL, I would say, here, you sit, here. I might do it 2 times. I might go, here, you sit, here. And I might do here twice, like where I want them to sit. I might do that twice to show them the importance of where they need to sit. So that's like a direct command, right? Command. This is also the sign for answer, by the way. Answer and command. Command might be 1, command. Answer might be 2, like that. Anyways, just something to think about. Okay, NMS, with it helps with modal verbs. So let me put that in there. So it helps express the idea of necessity or possibility. So like we will win. We will. So you can see my face is nodding. I know, I believe that we're going to win this game. We will win. So I'm nodding, right? If you're asking for permission, can I go play? Like sometimes I remember when I was a boy, I was interpreting for my parents in the small group of deaf people in the section in the church. I think I started interpreting, I was about 7. It's a guess. I just remember my legs were not touching the ground when I started interpreting. But I remember when church was finished, I would ask my parents, because sometimes when church was finished, you had hearing people come wanting to communicate, chat with deaf people. So I'd have to communicate, or I'd have to interpret between the hearing group people with the deaf people. And sometimes it not involve my parents. Sometimes there's other deaf people that needed help as well. So anyways, so sometimes I would have to ask permission to go play after church was finished. And I would go play with the other kids if I could. Sometimes I couldn't. But anyways, I would say, Mom, can I go play? My mom would say, You can go play, right? So the nodding of the head sometimes would occur before the sign, or maybe at the same time as the sign. Must need, so me need, so if I need to eat, I might go, I need to eat. So you see nodding the head. I need to eat, right? I saw in one of my resources that I use, I saw a lady would sign it as, I need to eat, right? So instead of doing the actual sign need or must eat, she'll do it with 4 fingers to show, like, I really got to, like, big time. And you'll see that sometimes they'll change or modify the sign to really show you the intensity, like the seriousness of the request or the need. This other example I was coming up with was if, like, let's say someone was asking me, will your child pass the test? I might go, he should pass, right? So my facial expression is still nodding, but I'm like, I think maybe, yes, will pass, maybe. So just the way that I explain it to people when I teach an ASL is when you're signing, you have to think of what you're saying and you have to think of your emotions. If you can get your emotions to match up with what you're signing, most of the time you'll probably hit it. It won't be 100%, but it'll be close. I mean, you know, even if it's off a little bit, most people, the deaf live in a hearing world. It's just life, right? So they're used to seeing people use their emotion. So it might be a little bit discombobulated, maybe it doesn't quite match up. But most of the time, if you're making efforts to learn ASL, you want to make sure you try to show your emotions. Don't be a blank guy and go, he should pass. No, he pass, should, hopefully, maybe, right? That facial expression is going to help you tremendously. So make sure you do that. Okay, next. NMS with conditional statements. Head tilt, short pause. Okay, so conditional. If, suppose, maybe, suppose, right? So if test pass, then you can go to your friend's house, right? So if the son's asking, it's like, Mom, can I go to my friend's house on Friday for the weekend? Mom might look down and go, maybe. Yep. So there's some nodding, right? There's a short pause. The eyebrows are raised usually. Yeah, maybe. Sure. You can go. Okay. So that's a conditional statement. Okay. Let's talk about declaratives. So declaratives are like if you're asking my age, right? I don't care. It doesn't bother me when people ask my age. Well, I'm a guy. Most guys don't care, so whatever. So someone asks me, right, you old what? You age what? I might say, my age? 48. Right? I might go, my age? Like I'm trying to make sure I'm catching their question. So I'm expressing, oh, right? Like the question. You're asking the question? Oh, okay. My age? 48. Right? No emotion. It's a declarative statement. You're making a fact, right? You're not trying to tell them 48. Just dragging through life. You could, for sure. But most of the time, if it's just a declaring statement, if you're just making a statement, you're just gonna, no expression, not needed. If it's a yes or no question, right? If you're asking, do you like this food? So you could see how I'm like, do you like? You see how I hold the sign at the very end, right? This food you like. So you see that at the end, I hold it. So the yes or no question. Sometimes you can go question. You like this food? You see I'm holding the sign, the question mark. It's an X, by the way. And you see at the index, I'm just bringing it down. Sorry, I got a Band-Aid. So anyways, so yeah. So it's like inflection. You raise your voice. It's in ASL, you hold the last sign. And you're like, right? Eyebrows up, eyes widen. That's what you do. And then you can see the body shift. So I shift my body, I maybe lean towards the person that I'm talking to, and that's it. Funny story, when I was a chaplain in the Army, I've had one time a soldier, and he was just telling me his space, right? He's like, hey, chaplain, I really appreciate you, but I don't want you touching on me. Because the problem I had, remember this was the sign for physics problem. Anyways, somebody asked me about that in the last video. So anyways, so the problem I had was I was very comfortable touching people on the shoulder, giving a pat on the back, not a football pat, a pat on the back. Hey, how's it going? I'm kind of a touchy-feely type of guy, sorta-ish. I don't like hugs. That's my limit, but I don't mind shaking their hands, kind of getting close. But some people in the Army, the military, didn't like that. So they tell me, hey, could you do that? So I have to think, okay, this is not deaf culture. This is the military. It's a different culture. And sometimes I had to learn the hard way, unfortunately. It's just life. You learn. You learn. You try not to make the same mistakes twice, right? So anyways, so that's that. Okay, so if I'm asking mom's home, I might say, Mom, home? Right? I'm holding that sign, my eyebrows raised, my eyes are widened. I'm leaning towards the person I'm asking. So that's a yes or no question. I'm asking yes or no. Is mom home? Right? Okay. And that's the same thing with the who, what, when, where, why questions. You'd be squinting on that one, you're squinting the eyebrows, tilting the head. The body can lean slightly forward, shoulders can be raised. So, your name? What? So, eyebrows squinted, not raised, squinted on the who, what, when, where, why questions. So, green beans, I must eat. Why? Right? That might be a question your son or daughter asks you at the dinner table. Just saying. That man? Who? So you could see my eyes, I'm like, that man over there. I go back to talk to the person, who? So you see my eyebrows, they squinted when I go, who? Okay, sorry. I know I might look funny if I didn't have. I probably look funny if you're watching this video without audio. And I'm sorry for those who are deaf. Like, man, he's very expressive sometimes. I don't know. But I try to be expressive as much as possible. Rhetorical questions. So rhetorical questions are questions that you're not asking the person that you're signing to answer you. It's just a question that you're proposing. Like, this is a question you're probably wondering why, and so it's a rhetorical question. So it says raised eyebrows. So eyebrows are raised. Slight shake, no. Right? Or tilt the head. Okay, so for example, me, tired? Why? So I'm pursing the lips. Why? The baby was crying all night. The baby is sick. Right? So rhetorical question. That's a rhetorical question. Funny story. And I do realize this is ASL grammar and I'm trying to explain stuff, but it's from a perspective of a CODA, a child of a deaf adult. And I've got many stories, some not appropriate on this format, but I'd share with you in person if you came up to me, if you're an adult, of course. But anyways, let me push that off to the side. My mom, she would tell me, she remembers, like she would wake up in the morning to come get me when I was a baby. And she could tell that I'd been crying all night because I would have crustaceans on my side of my face, and she could tell. And I asked my mom, I said, did that happen often? She goes, no, it happened when you were young, like a young baby, but eventually you stopped. And it made me realize, oh, wow. So when I became a father and had children, I would tell my wife, and it was hard, I said, let them cry. Let them cry. If they cry past a certain amount of time, we would go and get them for sure. But because they might be sick or something. But for the most part, they had to struggle through being alone, and it was difficult. Even for me, I'm very attached to my kids, my children, but I had to learn you gotta let them sometimes cry. And my mom did that, not because she was trying to learn to be a parent or something like that. She just couldn't hear me crying. And I have other stories related to that, but that's down the road. Anyways, okay, moving on. In a conversation, so this is the last part. So in a conversation, when you're signing, sometimes it's important to know when it's your turn, right? So many times what I do, I'm gonna start at the end. You might go, you're gonna watch the person sign. If they stop signing or they slow down, that's your turn. You have time to jump in and join and go, hey, I have a question, or I have something I want to talk to you guys about. If it's a one-on-one conversation, it's pretty easy to know who's taking turn, who's signing, who's not. In deaf culture or in ASL, most of the time, if you're in a group and they're all talking with each other, you're not having multiple conversations. That's not normal. In deaf culture, typically, if you're in a group setting and you're talking with each other, like in a small group, one person is signing at one time, typically. If it's one-on-one, like I said, it's easy to know who's signing, who's not, obviously. You can go back and forth, right? Taking turns, going back and forth. That's an L shape, by the way. If it's their turn, their thumbs more towards this way. If you're going towards you, you're gonna go, so your turn, my turn, your turn, my turn. Okay, anyways, enough of that. So that's important. Also, non-manual signals. If you're chatting with a person, they're signing, you're standing here, right? If you're trying to walk through the conversation, there's no other way around it. You're like, what do I do? Do I say, hey, excuse me? Don't do that, because you're interrupting the signing. You're interrupting the conversation. Just walk through. Just walk through. There's no need to try to duck underneath. No need to crawl underneath, jump. No, it's not a football play. Just tell them, look, actually, don't say nothing at all, sorry. Just walk through. Now, in the hearing world, of course, you're gonna say, oh, excuse me, sorry, and you'll walk through. But if deaf people are chatting, it's okay. They can stop for a third of a second. It's not gonna take long for you to walk. It's probably best that you walk faster instead of slow. And please do not stop in the middle of a conversation. That's very rude. If it's a conversation that's kind of private, or maybe you're saying some adult things in mixed company when there's kids around, most of the time you probably want to reduce the signing space. You don't want to be out there, right? You reduce it, or maybe cover it up a little bit and go, hey, let me share something with you, but come a little bit closer, and you're signing with them. Their body is blocking your signing. So, that you can tell, you can see that like in football where they do the huddle. it's been said, I don't have all the facts on this, but it's been said that the football huddle was developed by deaf people. So they would surround, so you couldn't, you'd hear better, of course, but for the deaf football teams, what would happen is they would sign, and so other people could not see the sign. So, anyways, I think that's it. Non-manual signals. God bless, take care, and I wish you the best luck.